It's live! Hey, what's up everybody? Today we're gonna build a cannon. A couple of months ago, I was scrolling through Facebook Marketplace and I came across this big piece of heavy duty tubing. And I thought to myself, this thing is simply begging to be turned into a projectile launching device. So let me give you the rundown on how we're gonna do this. We're going to weld up this end. We're gonna plug it and weld it, because if we made this a device that could be loaded from the back, I would probably get in trouble with somebody somewhere somehow. So we're gonna weld this all up nice and strong. We're gonna shove some black powder down the tube, shove some steel something, I don't know, whatever we wanna shoot out of it down the tube. And then we're gonna make ourselves a little fuse hole. We're gonna light a fuse and send stuff to the moon. Our struggle here is going to be getting this end closed off well enough that this end doesn't just blow off instead of our projectile going on out the barrel. One thing we could do is just take and weld a piece of plate right on the end there. That would give us one weld the whole way around, which would be a decent amount of surface area. However, we can make it stronger by doing a little something more. Before that, we're gonna take this slug here. This is a piece of 1¼ inch round I had laying around, and we're going to shove it in there and weld it. So it'll be pushed all the way up in here, and then we'll weld around this end, which will be flush right here. And what that'll do is that'll give us a weld both on this perimeter right here and on this perimeter right here. And that'll give us that much more weld that's gonna be stopping the back of this cannon from coming off under pressure. First step of our process are gonna be making this piece fit in here. This piece is the same diameter on the outside as this is on the inside, and so it doesn't actually fit. It's really close, it feels like it's going to, but it doesn't. So I could try and hammer it in, but that's obviously a really long way and it's gonna get tight and get stuck, and then it's not gonna go in as far as we want. So what we're gonna do here is we are going to stick this piece in the freezer, and we're gonna warm this piece up as much as we can with a little torch, and we're gonna see if we can't get them to just slide right together. But before that, I wanna go ahead and grind off the corner here off of this round piece, and then also grind off the inside corner here on this, and see if we can't get these kind of set up for a weld a little bit better. We don't want to have any weld protruding out past the end here, because we want to weld this plate on top of everything once it's all assembled. So we're gonna do some grinding here, so that way when we stick this in, we'll have a nice groove that we can put our weld into. Ooh, hot. All right, that ought to do it. Let's go stick this piece in the freezer overnight, and we'll come back to this tomorrow. We're back at it out here. I've got my little plumbing torch warming up the cannon. It's a little bit of a task for this particular tool, but it's what I got, so it's what we're using. I think we got up around 500 degrees in some spots. I can't get a super even heat, but I imagine that's about all the warmer I'm gonna get it. So I'm gonna go get the other piece out of the freezer. We'll see if it'll fit. All right, here it goes. Perfect. I was afraid I was gonna have to get like dry ice or something and get that super cold and get a bigger torch to make this even hotter, but it fit. Did exactly what it needed to. Let's go about welding it. Actually, before we weld it, let's let those temperatures kind of become the same. I imagine that would be best for things. I've given this unit some time to cool down, and now this piece is wedged in there. It ain't gonna move. I'm not gonna drive on it with a hammer to see if I could move it, but it's in there good enough that we can weld on it and not have to worry about it falling down out from underneath of us or something like that. So I'm gonna set this up right against the table here, and we'll weld this groove full. Well, that turned out pretty good. Weld looks solid. Don't think we'll have any problems there. All the slag chipped off pretty easy. Let's go ahead and weld this on there. Oh my, oh boy, oh boy. Ugh. This thing isn't getting any lighter. Well, that didn't turn out too bad. It could probably be a little bit better, but I don't think it could be that much stronger. Now, in the spirit of keeping this thing at least looking like a traditional cannon, I think we ought to cut the ears off of this square piece, kind of make it round, and maybe we'll add something to the back of it. I think like the good old Napoleon cannons had kind of a knob back here to wrap a rope around to, well, I'm not even sure what all it did, but let's see if we can't find something to do that with. It's been a couple days. I'm finally got some time to get back out here in the shop and do some more work. We got this piece all rounded out. It's nice and pretty close to circular as far as I can get it with just eyeballing things. But I want to add something to the back of here. Right now this thing doesn't look anything like a cannon, and I kind of want to make it look a little bit like a cannon. So I have this old ball hitch here that a customer gave me, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut this part of it off, the threaded part, and I want to just weld it on the back here. I feel like a lot of old school cannons, like all the muzzle loading, like Napoleonic cannons and just cannons you see in movies on boats and stuff, all have kind of a lug on the back here for tying stuff down and for handling maybe, I'm not sure, but it'll at least give me something easy to handle onto, and I won't have to, you know, be dealing with touching the rest of it, which probably isn't even a big deal, but I think it'll make it nicer. So let's go ahead and let's get this thing cut off. She's hot. Hot, hot, hot. That's actually a pretty good cut. I'm happy with that. We're gonna leave that piece there. Here we go, we got that cut off. I cleaned it up a little bit with the grinder to make sure we can weld it on. We're gonna stick it on just like that. So let me pick this up and put it on the ground, so that way we're not having to hold it up there while we weld it. In the spirit of handmade cannons, we're just gonna kind of eyeball it in there. I got a little scribe here. I'm going to scribe around it, just make sure I keep it where I think center is, and then we'll tack it on there. There we go. This cannon is too big for me to clamp my ground clamp anywhere here too. I tried clamping it to the table, and because the table's touching the piece, and I didn't get a good connection, and it was doing some, it sparked and it was bad. So we're not going to do that. So I got this big C-clamp here, and I'm just going to C-clamp the ground clamp right to the base of the cannon here. I'm hoping that will do the trick. Only one way to find out. Oh, let me try that again. There we go. Alrighty, here we go. All right, all we gotta do is cook the thing on there the rest of the way. All right, well, we got this thing all welded on here. It ain't pretty, but it's not super structural, so it'll be fine. But the next thing I think is gonna be to figure out how to mount it. So I wanna mount it to a wood frame to be somewhat historically accurate. That's kind of the theme here, just somewhat accurate. It's probably gonna be the theme for shooting too, but we'll worry about that later. So I think what I wanna do is weld some lugs on the side, just a piece of round material that comes off. And then we can cut a hole into these 2x4s and set, maybe more like a notch, I guess we'd be cutting into the 2x4s, and set the whole thing down into those. Then we can build a frame the rest of the way off of the 2x4s. So I need to do that. This is a hollow piece. I want to do that. I want to weld these on with a solid piece. So we're going to use this 1.25 inch solid bar. And that's the same kind of bar that I used to plug the end of the barrel here. But we're going to take this out, cut a couple pieces off, come back in and weld them on. This thing's cool enough to touch now, so we'll discard that. Mark out the width of a, we probably want a little more. Mark out a little bit more in the width of a 2x4. We'll cut one off and we'll mark the second one, because if we mark them both now, something won't go right. All right, we're back on this project after a couple days away. We've got our little lugs here kind of trimmed up. I ground a nice concave surface in the top there so that way they sit on that radius of that tube real nice. Got the first one clamped down. We're gonna go ahead and weld it up, and then we'll put the other one on the side and we'll have our trunnion mount. Now we'll roll it over here, put one on the exact opposite side. Now we got those trunnion lugs welded on there, we kind of can figure out, what part of back here is going to be the top and the bottom. We want to drill a hole in the top of the barrel here so we can put the fuse in there and light it and run away, because that's the best way to light a cannon of this nature, at least the best way I know. It's the simplest way. So I didn't want to do this first because this is really easy, just put on wherever. And those lugs are a little bit harder to get on because you kind of got to put the first one on and get the other one matched right behind it, etc., etc. So, got that done. It's time to drill this hole. It's going to be an itty bitty drill bit, so I got like a bunch of them. We'll see how many I break or how many I dull out. It might all go with just one. I don't really know. Got to get some of that tap magic. Somebody recommended that to me a long time ago in one of my videos when I was drilling without it. I have found that it makes quite the difference. Drilling nice and easy because it's such a small hole. Maybe this will be a piece of cake, I don't know. Well, it appears as though I've made a substantial mistake. I set my drill bit length to be just a little bit longer than the thickness of the wall of the pipe here, and I just did that so I didn't have extra drill bits sticking out, making it extra wobbly and threatening to break and that kind of thing. But I've drilled this hole all the way down to the chuck and I didn't find the end of it. You know, it didn't just fall the rest of the way into the middle of the tube, into the hollow of it there. So I thought I drilled out away from the back here far enough to not get into the plug that we put in there, but I must not have. I must still be, that plug, I must have drilled into that plug, so I need to drill farther out here. Thankfully that drilled easy enough that it won't be too hard to do. I just don't want to end up with a row of holes here because that would not be good. Here we go, round 2. Hopefully this time we're far enough away from the back of the cannon here. Hey, that's what we were looking for. A little snap at the end. Means the drill fell into the free space inside. And we have a good hole. Perfect. Let's give it a little test try, see if we can get a cannon fuse down in there and light it and see what happens. Perfect. It's a perfect fit. Goes all the way down in there. Stays up where we need it to. That's awesome. Next thing we're gonna work on is gonna be the wheels. Thankfully, I live in Ohio and we have lots of Amish folks, so I was able to find some old buggy wheels for pretty cheap. I'm gonna weld a pipe between these for the axle, and they won't turn independently, but they're more about just holding the cannon up off the ground, so it'll work fine. That turned out pretty good. I'm actually rather happy with it. The welds aren't beautiful. These are just eyeball square, but it's good enough for this project. So I got some old 2x4s left over and we're gonna build ourselves a wood frame to kind of make this all come together here with those. Well, there we have it. I think that's our basic wood structure. It's not historically accurate, but I think it's gonna work pretty good here. I'm gonna make some notches for the axle and for the trunnion real quick with a handsaw. We'll see where we end up. Well folks, today is the 4th of July. It's the big day for this cannon. We're gonna take it to a friend's house and shoot it, but real quick, I wanna show you it finally assembled. Here it is. This thing looks way cooler than I ever thought it would. I thought it was just gonna look like, well, I don't know. It still looks like kind of a hodgepodge homemade mess, but it just looks more cannon-like than I ever thought it would. I'm really happy with that. But I ended up just notching these 2x4s out and putting strap on top, and basically did the same thing on the bottom there. So I gotta get this thing, I gotta take it apart to fit it in my truck. So I didn't want to put it together in too permanent of a way, but I'm gonna go ahead, tear it down, load it up, and we'll see when it's time to make some noise. Here we are, folks. This is it. I am so excited to shoot this thing off. It's gonna be epic. We're out here in the grass, got things lined up as you can see there, got the cannon pointed straight at that melon sitting on those stumps. I'm gonna go over the loading process with you, and then we'll light it off. So it's only legal for me in the US to make a muzzle loading cannon. So everything in here has to come in from the front of the cannon, and it all has to go in this opposite order that it's gonna come out in, if that makes sense. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put our powder in first. I made these little packages to keep things straight and simple and easy here. So we'll put this in first. I've got it so that way there's a nice flat cylinder on the back. All I gotta do is poke it in there, push it down with our ramrod here. There's our first shot, so we don't have to worry about swabbing the barrel or anything. Give that a light tap just to make sure it's all the way down. We're using imitation black powder because black powder is a little bit more volatile, and we just want to be safe. We don't want to get hurt. Next thing we're gonna do is put in a little aluminum foil disc that I packed real tight and should fit really snug in the barrel here. And the purpose for that is just to act as like a wad to kind of push all of our ammunition out at the same time. Because we don't have a single cannonball. We have, oh, this might be kind of tight here. Come on, Betsy. There we go. Very nice, that's in there. And that wad will just push our little package of steel BBs out all at the same time. And that will just help everything come out all together and will help keep the gases from passing up the ammunition and just coming out the end of the barrel. So we got everything packed down there in the right order. Just a light tap ought to do it. You should never stand directly in front of the cannon when you're loading it in case something goes wrong. You'd rather lose a hand than your entire abdomen. Now I've got everything in there. The next step here is to take a little piece of wire that I made up just for this and stick it down in the fuse hole and push it into that aluminum foil package. So it breaks that open and kind of makes a little hole. We'll do a little turny turn here, and that should make a hole that we can put our fuse into, which should get us a good light on the powder. Yeah, I can feel it getting all the way down in there. So I cut a fuse that's plenty long. That should do the trick. I'm gonna go gather everybody that wants to watch real quick, and then we'll light this fuse and run for our lives. All right, here goes. Alrighty, folks, here goes nothing. It's live! Oh my goodness, it's raining watermelon. That was epic. That was sick.
That was great.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
We gotta do it again.
Do it again.
This is all that's left of the watermelon. It was a perfect shot. My buddy Sam lined it up. It couldn't have been better. I thought I'd like take a bite out of this for fun, but it's so like stringy and gross looking that I don't think I'm gonna do that. So to anybody that wondered, after I ran off the screen, I did get my hearing protection on so I didn't blow my eardrums out, but yeah, that was awesome. We're gonna do it again. I'm a little more confident in it now, so we're gonna put some more powder and some more BBs in there, and we're gonna destroy a 2-liter pop bottle down there. All right, here we go again after the soda bottles. Run away.
Oh, that's crazy. That is Unbelievable! Jeez!
There's nothing left. Them things just disappeared.
What the heck? Yeah.
What's all the stuff on the ground? Is that powder you think it's around?
Yeah.
So I had too much powder. Oh, this is cool. Alright, this is actually the next day. We're gonna shoot this thing off again. I just wanted to get some better shots with some better lighting. It was getting dark on us last night, so let's give this a go. Here we go. She's live. Well, curiosity is getting the best of us here, and so we're gonna try shooting these wrenches out of this cannon and see what happens. We've also got it pointed more at the stump, at the log there, and we'll just see. I don't know what. It could be anything. Let's fuse it and shoot it. Okay, here we go. Fire in the hole. Oh, I just heard the wrenches tingling over there somewhere. There's one still stuck in the stump. Yes! Oh, that's epic. Oh, this poor wrench has been places we'll never be. That's crazy.
That is so good.
I think you can see the impression, like this piece came in here and hit there the hardest and then made a little line there. And that's, oh, it's hot. Duh, why wouldn't it be hot? That's hilarious. Well, I think we're done shooting goofy stuff after that last set of wrenches sent one wrench into oblivion. We don't really know where it went, and we heard it land somewhere, so we don't want to do that again. I did load the can up with some really, just a lot of 1/4-inch steel ball bearings and a hefty load of black powder, so should be a big show. We're gonna shoot that stump. It's gonna be our last shot for today. We're gonna see what happens. Fire in the hole. Oh my goodness, I saw the flash from behind the tree and it's a sunny day. Was that the biggest one we've done? Let's go see what it did to the stump. Alrighty. Oh, it didn't do nearly what I thought it would do. Oh, there's still, some of those are pretty deep. I'm gonna see if I can dig them out and see if there's any bearings buried in there. Well, I was wrong. I kind of thought these just like made a little dent and bounced off, but I was digging with a pocket knife. I couldn't find anything. I started looking a little closer and I realized if I take my little wire here and I stick it in these holes, it comes out the back. So it went through at least that much wood. I can take just about any hole as long as I get the right angle and can jam it in there good. And I get a decent depth. I mean, there was some power behind these. See if I can find an easy one. There we go. I mean, this isn't you know, exactly a brand new piece of wood, so it's softer, but the ball's in there at least that deep. That's crazy. That thing had some power. I'd say we should avoid cutting this with a chainsaw. What do you think? Well, I think that's gonna wrap it up for our cannon video here. If you guys wanna see more stuff, you know, shooting different things out of the barrel, we can find a safer environment to do that in, or shooting different targets or something, just put that in the comments below. I love doing this kind of thing, so if you guys want to see more of it, we'll do it for sure. Thanks so much for watching this whole video. I really appreciate you taking the time. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, one more. I couldn't resist. Oh, it never fails. That's hilarious. I love it. There's nothing left.